Hello and welcome to today's video. So we're going to be picking up from last week's video, which is of course with Napoleon as leader of modern day France. And so here we are. The leader of the coalition has just been captured, which is Germany, and now all that remains are Poland, Ukraine, and big boy Russia. So these countries France and the coalition are still at war, and the next target for France is going to go ahead and be Denmark. From Germany, of course, their troops are going to go ahead and capture the mainland, as they're also going to go for Copenhagen, which they're able to successfully capture. The campaign in the north goes successfully well, and they're able to completely control the country. Meanwhile, the Russians are still fighting in Sweden and are trying their best to push out the French troops, which they're able to do with their superior snow fighting tactics. In Poland, we see troops coming into Czechia from the southern parts of Poland, and into the northern parts of Czechia. French troops are mostly centralized in Berlin and parts of Denmark, so aren't as ready for this attack, and are going to attempt to not repel it in Czechia, but rather go for Warsaw itself. So from the northwest, French troops are entering Poland and are collecting quite a bit of land. Russia is continuing to do their thing in Sweden and have completely or almost completely kicked out the entire French army. From here, rather than attacking Norway, which is in an alliance with France, they're going to go ahead and start an invasion of Denmark. What is going to be known as the Battle of Copenhagen, Russian troops are going to engage with French troops in a bloody battle for the island, with an eventual Russian landing. Russian troops are also going to land in the northern part of the mainland and are going to take quite a few parts of land before they're stopped. Also in Copenhagen, they are going to be stopped as well. In Czechia, the red team is able to continuously approach and beat back the French front lines, as Czechia isn't really that well defended, making it easier for the red team to invade. The blue team is going to continuously make their advancements and ignore what's happening down south in Czechia, because they know if they can capture enough Polish land, then that'll mean that they can't really do as much here because they'll be crippled. And goes successfully well, as eventually the front lines in Czechia are halted and pushed back, as a considerable amount of land is once regained. From here, we see a stalemate being formed. Once again, there's also a stalemate in Poland and one in Denmark. So these holdouts are going to be lasting pretty long, and eventually that's how this war is going to end, and we're going to see a peace treaty. Alright, so here is what the current world looks like. We see Germany, of course, is the big one, divided in half. This half goes to the French. This half is just free Germany. And then we see Sweden is free, Finland's free, but the the Baltic states, they are still they're under French control. Sorry about this red stuff. That's not supposed to be there. And all this red. Okay. So yeah, this is oh shoot, my bad. Okay, so this is what the world is looking like. We're finally at peace, and Napoleon is feeling pretty well after this conquest. So, of course, not all countries in Europe are allied to either Napoleon or the coalition, and so that makes them targets, per se, Greece, as well as Albania and North Macedonia. That's not supposed to be blue. So these countries are going to be Napoleon's next targets as he starts on a naval conquest from Italy over into Albania as well as Greece. So, of course, we're going to see a successful landing from the French in the southern tip of Albania and, of course, on the other coastal parts. The southernmost island of Greece is going to be breached, and the southern coastal parts are going to be quickly swept up by French troops with the eventual surrender of the island. The mainland is being marched upon as French troops start to come up, and of course, are going to be looking out for Athens. Albania is rapidly losing land, and eventually the entire country is forced to capitulate. And now it's on to North Macedonia, which in no time is being breached by the French. This also allows the French to come in from the north to attack Greece, which they're able to successfully do, and are coming down on the Greeks pretty hard. This, of course, is going to cause an entire collapse of their nation, as well as North Macedonia. Next, they're turning their sights north to Bulgaria, as well as Serbia and all the other Balkan states. These two, Kosovo, Montenegro. And so the French are going to start their invasion of these rather small countries. Won't be too hard for them to take their landing, do their thing, which they're able to, of course, do with pretty rapid speed as they start to invade the southern ports of Serbia and get to the city of Belgrade. For Bulgaria, it's Sofia they're looking for, which they're able to successfully find as the entire southern portion of the country is taken. So, seeing this, the gang decides to get back together. We see Ukraine, we have Poland, we have East Germany, we have Sweden, Finland, Russia. This time we have Belarus joining in, filling Kaliningrad, and we also have Romania in. And the big battle after Serbia and Bulgaria is taken is going to commence. From the south, the French troops already down here are going to invade Romania, but of course are going to be stopped soon as Ukrainian troops are coming in to defend. Over here in the Baltics, Russian, Belarusian, and Polish troops are pretty easily able to take quite a bit of land, as Finnish and Swedish troops are reaching Norway. The north half is completely cut off by the red team, as the main parts of Svalbard is, of course, going to be attacked because that's where all the people live. From Sweden, they are being breached, and French is in a little bit of panic because it's like the entire continent against them, and they weren't ready for this. Thankfully, they had troops on the border of Germany, and they're able to quickly sweep through this entire eastern portion or western portion of Germany, leaving only a little bit left. The French troops down here are lacking resources as well as manpower, causing them to suffer a blowback and get pounded all the way back into Bulgaria, and are quickly losing land. Napoleon, up here leading the campaign in Germany, is able to successfully wipe them out as he turns his sights to the more important countries, such as Poland. He leads his own forces in and are able to successfully beat all the Polish people in various battles as he moves forward with his sights on Warsaw. He continues to make great advancements as his troops down here are constantly suffering defeat after defeat and are losing more and more resources by the day. In the Nordic countries, we see the red team pushing in, but eventually holding out as they start their own invasion of Denmark once again. In the north, we see the red team being able to successfully land, as in the Baltic states, a continuous wave of red team troops comes in and is effectively able to beat out the very few Frenchmen that are here, and resulting in the ultimate surrender. Back down in the south, Red Team is taking quite a bit of land as almost all of Serbia is freed, as Bulgaria also is freed. Their capital is now in Red Team hands, which means it's practically back in Bulgaria's hands. Napoleon keeps trekking forward into Poland, and eventually a spearhead of him and his legion of troops is able to form as they reach out and are able to successfully nab Warsaw, which is pretty crucial for taking out Poland. The troops in Denmark are able to land in Copenhagen and capture the island as they continue to move downward into central Denmark and hopefully able to reclaim the entire country. Napoleon is continuing his march into Poland and is taking quite a bit of land, but is slowing down as he isn't getting the supplies he needs, as there's one, two, three, four fronts that the French are fighting. This is going to eventually have to cripple one of the fronts, and that front that's going to be sacrificed is the Norwegian front. So the bad news is, of course, they just lost Norway, but the good news is there's a little bit more resources now for Napoleon to continue his campaign and take more of Poland. In Denmark, the red team is able to successfully capture all of it and move down into Germany, as the Frenchmen that are stranded here are starting an evacuation process to get back to Italy and Greater France. The result of this is just a complete collapse of the entire Balkan situation here in France, which is going to be a major defeat in the downfall of modern day Napoleon. So now that the red team has won here, they're going to, of course, move on into Italy, where they're going to make a successful landing. Napoleon is seeing this and he's thinking about retracting himself to go defend France, but he decides ultimately on continuing to push forward with his Polish campaign, which is going pretty well. Eventually, he's able to successfully capture the entirety of Poland and has decided to move on to Belarus to get to Russia, who is the new leader of the coalition. Red Team troops are entering Germany and have a pretty big trick up their sleeves to effectively make a huge cutoff right here to strand, starve, and ultimately defeat Napoleon. So that's what they're doing. They are, of course, able to penetrate northern Germany in a rather big bulge as they come down south and free the eastern parts from the French. Down in Italy, Red Team troops are beating back the Napoleonic troops who just got to Italy, the ones that evacuated from here, so they're still pretty weakened and are effectively unreadied for this huge invasion. Napoleon is able to successfully breach Belarus as he goes for Minsk, which is like right there, and then onwards to Moscow. In Germany, Red Team is able to divide Germany and take over the entire eastern part as we move on to Czechia to finalize their plan of cutting off Napoleon's supply trains. Of course, there's battling all along this line, and it's crucial for the red team to successfully defend and, well, protect the people here that are capturing the land. This is the main plan, the main part of this, of trying to dethrone Napoleon, and so far it's going pretty well. The entire Sudetenland of Czechia is being taken. The island of Sicily is going to be taken, and rather than pushing up through Rome, they're going to go through to Sardinia and then eventually Corsica, which of course is going to be huge because if you got Corsica, then you can invade Bordeaux and Marseille, which they're able to do as southern France is being breached. Now this is panic time. Napoleon is saying, screw it, gotta get back to France to defend the homeland, which is going to end the front line here in Belarus. And once again, he's going to just strand his troops and make his priority to get back. This is going to, of course, make the situation worse when they're completely cut off from their supply trains, and heaps of Napoleon's troops are just completely stuck in Poland and effectively are captured in the coming days. The Italian front is resumed as Red Team continues up through Rome and is able to successfully take it and also frees San Marino and the Vatican from the cruel, cruel French people. That, of course, is a joke. I'm sure French people are lovely people. Now they reach the mountains, they're going to just skip on over and focus their efforts in taking as much France as possible. By now, Napoleon has once again arrived, and Napoleon is going to do his Napoleon things and beat them back into a small little circle, which he is able to effectively do pretty well. But Napoleon can't be everywhere at once, which means the German line is going to continuously get bigger. Napoleon is seeing his entire nation cripple before his eyes as his empire is just losing land after land after land, and the countries are slowly but surely falling. Austria is next on the chopping block, and next is probably going to be Germany, which, yeah, it's going to happen. And so now Napoleon is going to have to worry about this part of France, which is probably more important because Paris is right there, which is where he's going to go, allowing the Red Team troops to once again reorganize their campaign to come back up here and take all this French land. Napoleon is able to make a small little indent in Germany, but just when he thinks everything's going well, Alsace-Lorraine is being captured by the Red Team. Napoleon comes down here to try to fight them back. That's just going to let the Red Team here come in even more and connect with this front line, beating back Napoleon. At these decisive battles, at the Battle of Paris, Napoleon is defeated, and eventually France is captured. And now the entire continent of Europe is no longer commanded by Napoleon, as the Red Team frees them all. Oh, my bad. And rather than making these all colonies, the Red Team just decides to free them and make everything go back to the way it was. So that is the two-parter for what I think Napoleon possibly would do. Maybe. I mean, he probably wouldn't immediately get elected and just go to war with all of Europe. I appreciate you for taking time out of your day to watch my video. This, of course, was fun. As always, I don't know what I'm doing next week, but have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye.